Welcome to the fish tank.
Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to another video. This is going to be the second box filter for the new rack system. And it's going to have a couple of new features, or slightly different features than the old one. First off, it's going to be box shaped. That's more funny than anything else. But because it's box shaped, it means it's a much simpler build. And a couple of comments I had on the last video were suggestions for builds that, as they put it, did not require all my fancy tools. So even though I am using a milling machine here, you can actually use a drill press or a handheld with a template, and it will give you the same kinds of results. I'm just kind of crunched for time most times, and I just don't have the time to do that. Where in the milling machine obviously makes it much simpler, just keeps everything lined up properly. But you see that little line there in the corner. The reason why I'm using that is because I'm not using like the features for the milling machine. I'm just templating this. That keeps the right orientation so that all the stuff will match up, all the holes will match up, and it'll look square in the end. So after I've drilled all those holes, I cut most of that out because, well, it's that's an awful lot of holes. So the second new feature for this particular build is the old one, the last one, the one last week. The water entered the top of the filter, flowed down through all the media, and then gathered in the bottom and went up the standpipe. This is going to be different. These holes at the bottom are going to form a grid, and there's going to be little dividers. You can see them at the top there. They're going to be glued into place, and what's going to happen is the water is going to go into the bottom of this filter, get channeled up to the top of the filter with those dividers, and then go down through the filter and get filtered, and then go through the bottom collecting plate, and then up through the lift tube. Now, the reason for all this complexity, I suppose, is this filter will collect water, or dirty water, from the bottom of the tank. And that should end up with some of that mulm being collected and filtered out. Now, I know you can actually buy box filters with this sort of style, so I thought I'd build one and just show you what the difference is. So what I'm going to do here is I'm not going to show you all the construction of this. I just wanted to show you the first bit of it because it's kind of neat how the dividers sit in here. Now that's probably about the hardest part about this build, and the reason for that is because I'm using a 1/4 inch acrylic here. The dividers are also 1/4 inch acrylic, and to get them to fit properly and to glue properly, I had to cut them at 45 degrees. Now, unfortunately, you can't really do easy 45-degree cuts without a table saw. I suspect you could probably do it with a handheld power saw, but to get the finish proper, I just use the table saw. So here you go. This is how each of the corners are going to look. I'm not going to show you the whole, like I said, the whole gluing together, but I wanted to show you at least the first corner here. So once this piece of protective layer comes off, there you go. See the 3 holes on one side of the corner and 3 holes on the other side of the corner. That's where the water is going to go in. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you the divider. These are the dividers. I thought I was actually showing it there, but then I realized they're not even on the screen. Those are the 45-degree cuts. It's not hard to do, like I said, on a table saw. But unfortunately, I couldn't really think of an easy way of doing it without using something like that. Because if you use a jigsaw or like a saw that isn't really sharp and high speed, like a skill saw, you just end up melting the acrylic. And like I said, it's not very easy to cut that way. Most of these other cuts are fairly straightforward, but this particular one, I couldn't think of a way around it. I suppose what I could have done is use a very thin piece, like 1/16 inch, like I did for when I was doing the filtered breeder boxes. It has a bit more of a bend to it, but I wanted this to look good, so I didn't want to take a shortcut for that. But you could easily do it that way, and then you wouldn't have to worry about the 45s. The other thing you have to do when you're doing this sort of thing is be very careful. If you put too much glue or methylene chloride in there at the point, it's quite runny, so if it slides, goes through the joint, it'll end up marring the surface, because as soon as it touches the acrylic, it dissolves it. So you have to be very careful gluing it, but other than that, it's very straightforward. You can see this divider goes all the way to the bottom, and then once it's glued in place, you'll see there's a gap at the top. So the water will go in through the holes, go all the way to the top, and then spread out over the top of the filter, and then go down through all the media. Like I said, I'm not going to show it all to you. I'm just going to show you this one. And like I said, I'm showing this in real time, so you can see it doesn't really take that long to make. There you go. That's the first one done. And then you can see the channel where it goes in. Oh, if I can focus properly. There we go. And there you go. Very straightforward. So now all that's left to do now is, well, finish the rest of this. And I'm going to do that off camera. So here you go. There, all the sides are done. All the pieces are finished. And this is the bottom plate. And you can see a small problem. I do have to make 4 more 45-degree cuts. And you can do this like with a hacksaw because it's not as critical. But again, of course, I just use the table saw. I like to cheat. You see the little notch that's still there? I kept that notch because, like I said, because I didn't use any of the features for the milling machine, and I was just using templates, it won't really fit together perfectly in any other formation except this particular angle. Because I wanted to keep it reasonably snug so the water goes where I want it to go. It gets still a little sloppy, but it is close enough that it will fit together. And then again, there's the same notch. This is the top. That way the 2 holes, the one that's on the bottom and this one, that's where the standpipe goes. And so to make sure that the standpipe is vertical, so mostly just so it looks nice, I needed to keep that orientation proper. So these 2 little spacers here are just to keep the lid off of the bottom of the 4 dividers that go there. If I didn't have that, this would just fit right against it and no flow would go by it. So this is just to keep that up. And also, again, just to make it look nice. I'm just showing you, for some reason I left this part in, and this is just, you have to clear out the methylene chloride or it does strange things to the applicator and it just doesn't work anymore. So there's a notch. This is a leftover piece of egg crate that I cut for the other filter. It is a little loose, but it's just to keep the bottom plate off the bottom of the filter, so it doesn't really matter. And then this is going to fit in there. And the media is going to go all there, fill that hole up, mostly like lava rock, and then at the top it's going to be polyester wool. And there you go, standpipe fits there. Now I need to take back out because I only sanded 1/2 of it, so for it to fit all together, it only comes out one way. And there you go, it's all fit together. And hopefully in the next few days I'll get this system up and running and you guys can have a look at it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you liked this video. If you do, please like and or subscribe. And like I said, the next few videos, I'm going to get that rack running, get those tanks running, get some fish for them, and get it all running so you guys can have a look at it. And then you get to see this filter in action. And the other one, of course. And of course, they need to put a pipe in there for it to work as well. But that's very straightforward. There you go. Anyway, thank you again for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.